one, I'd like to thank the organizers of this event for inviting me. More importantly, for inviting tribal historic preservation officers to share their history and their knowledge. I'd like to thank all of you for making the time to come here and share this with us. What I want to do today primarily, I'll keep it very brief, is to, so I'm the chief archaeologist with the State Historic Preservation Office. So it's my job in the state of Illinois to review projects that need state and or federal permitting and or funding. I review them for their effects to cultural and historic resources and properties. So I can assure you, so this wind farm project, we just yesterday kind of formally received it in our office for review. It's in the very initial stages of planning, but I can assure you that the cultural and historic properties in this area will be taken into account and more than likely avoided with this wind farm. So let me back up and just say so Illinois, there's a state law for protection of these resources. There's also federal law for this. As of right now, this is primarily a state level review, which is a little bit more limiting than a federal review. But generally, in either way, the process is going to be the same. If this wind farm goes forward, the project area will be surveyed by professional archaeologists to inventory the cultural resources that may be affected by this. There will be, I'm guessing there will be some found within the direct footprint of these plans. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to, stop this wind farm. Sites that are found are generally, what we do is we determine their eligibility for inclusion in the National Register of Historic Places under 4 different criteria. Generally for archaeology sites, it's criteria D, which is a pretty open-ended kind of criteria stating that this particular site can contribute to knowledge of the past. So it's pretty open-ended, but not necessarily every site that's found is eligible for inclusion in the National Register. And on the state level, I mean, that recommendation is made by the professional archaeologists. The report comes to me for review, and I evaluate their recommendations, and I either say yes or no. That's the state level. So the federal level, there may be a federal nexus for this. We don't know yet. Federal project reviews, any interested, all of you may be invited as a consulting party, in the process as my equal for input to a lead federal agency. In this case, likely it'll be the Corps of Engineers, as they make those determinations. Go through the process, and we can, if there are questions about this, we can bring them up more directly. So, I mean, preservation will happen, even if this wind farm goes up. So I'll back up and say, if one of these sites that is in the footprint, a site that's found that's in the footprint, and is deemed, eligible for the National Register, we will recommend either more work, additional work, excavations. More than likely, the wind farm will just design around the resource. So, I mean, these resources will be preserved, in generally. So that's it. I just wanted to kind of go through the process. If you have more direct questions, I'll answer them. That's it.
Thank you.